I mean, you guys have been doing this for 20 plus years, and I know that all didn't all come at once. It's a building block, right? You guys started a company, been doing real estate for 20 plus years, and then started adding things in there. And and I really wanted to just dive in because Joni, with all that being said, you're talking about balance, right, in your
Hmm.
in your new book, and I know that that's very very hard for 99% of entrepreneurs,
Yes.
and I really want to start off with you, Joni, in this book because I started actually reading this book, which is amazing, guys. And the first thing that I opened up to was your life story. You
Hmm.
came from a broken home. Your father was a heroin addict. Your brother had a drug problem, divorced parents, and I just my heart just started gravitating towards this book. So I want you to start off just by sharing a little bit if someone's interested in getting this book, but just kind of share a little bit about your life story. How did you grow up? What are some of those challenges that you were going through?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, I was, grew up in a broken home. My father was a heroin addict, very abusive to my mother. In fact, so abusive that when she was pregnant with me, she had complications when she was pregnant with me. I was born with a cleft palate and hard of hearing. So I spent probably most of my childhood up until I was in first grade, in and out of hospitals and repairing my cleft palate. I probably had about a dozen surgeries from the time I was in first grade. Got held back in first grade just because I missed so much school. And, going through special classes, speech therapy, and, counseling, nutritionists, all that. And so it was just a lot for my mother to, have to go through this. And with my father being a heroin addict. So she finally left him, raised my brother and I, worked several jobs to support both of us. And then fast forward a little bit. So my brother really struggled with not having that father figure in his life, kind of fell into his footsteps, was the victim instead of the victor. And he eventually became a meth addict. So that was extremely difficult for my mother and I. We were at home, and she did everything that she could to try to support us and be that rock star mom, but there was just nothing that she could do for him, and he fell into that path. I mean, there was times where my we would get death threats of drive-by shootings because a drug deal went bad, and rolling my computer to the hallway just to get that done. So I just knew that wasn't the life I wanted. And I knew that I was not going to be sucked into this destructive lifestyle that my brother and my father had. And so I just had that mindset early on that, hey, like, it doesn't matter where I came from, I'm going to beat this. And so it was just me telling myself over and over and over and over again that I was going to beat this.
Mm. Wow, wow, that's just an amazing, quite the story. Number one, and thanks for just showing and again, I know you share a lot of that in this book. So, what was that like for you? Like, did you have to grow up super fast? I mean, you're at this time, like your parents, I think, divorced around 2 years old. So you're probably what, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old going through a lot of this. Like, did you feel like you had to grow up super fast? Were you taking on responsibilities for your family that you feel like you lost a lot of just being a kid, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happened, and I just felt from my mom that she was working her butt off to, two, three jobs at once just to support us. And I wanted so badly to help her. So, I mean, I think I was like, 12 or 13 years old. I wanted to, go and find a job out there. But I knew nobody would hire me, And so at 15, my grandfather actually took me to get my worker's permit. He was my biggest supporter through all of this. So I got my first job at Taco Bell. And it's funny because my friends would come and, visit, or they would actually go to the drive-through at Taco Bell, and I would be, servicing them. Like, Joni's working at Taco Bell. But I mean, I just wanted to help my mom support myself and buy, clothes that I needed for school. Because she everything that she did, I mean, she had to, put it on layaway, or it was always hand-me-downs from, friends and family. And so I just really wanted to help support.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that in the real estate business, you can really feel for people going through that. I mean, I know when we talk about people selling their home, a lot of them are in certain situations, and you can obviously have compassion towards those individuals, I'm sure, in the real estate space today. Shawn, let's just hear about you, man. So Joni, obviously, as your wife is talking and through this story, and I'm sure that you've heard a lot of this and you're living through this too, right? I know you guys also met at a very young age, but let's talk about you. So your story might not be as dramatic, but what was Shawn Wolfswinkel like as a kid? I mean, were you...
As a kid. I mean, yeah. So we've been together since we were 15. So I lived a lot of that journey, and there's a lot of stories about, stuff, me helping her brother or taking him to jail, because he had all these warrants for his arrest, and he's sitting there popping meth, on his way to jail because he knew he was going to be in there for a while, and he had so many warrants for his arrest that he knew he was going to get caught at some point. So I finally took him in so he could just surrender himself. But so it was a interesting time, and he lived with us for a period of our lives as an adults, and that was a horrible experience. But and we got through it. But no, I lived a total opposite, and that's one of the reasons I encouraged her to write the book. Was I just felt like, she has such a great story, and I think more people can relate to her story. And maybe they didn't go through only parts of that, but I think, the struggle and the pain, because I was born, Joni says, with a silver spoon in my mouth. My mom's a doctor, a retired doctor. My parents are still married to this day. So I had a good house, upbringing, household, loving household. My parents were workaholics, so they were, and I think that's where my brother and I get that work ethic from. So and it's good and bad, because I've told her this, my mom, like, I don't remember my mom ever tucking me in at night. She was never home. She was never there. So no, she made it to every sporting event, game I had, and was there, and she was usually in scrubs, coming, directly from the hospital. But and my brother and I spent a lot of time being raised by nurses while she was doing delivery. We had to sit there in the little waiting room and all that. And same thing with my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur. He made custom furniture and cabinetry. And so we spent a lot of time, at the shop, after school and after hours. But I had massive insecurities as a child. So I say Joni saved me through it, and I had glasses since right at first grade is when I started wearing glasses, and they got very thick very quickly. So, but kids can be very mean. So I was very, very shy. I'm sure most kids didn't even know I existed, to be honest with you. And I would hide. I started wearing a baseball cap just to cover my eyes so that I didn't have to make eye contact with people. And that's how I existed for probably till high school. And very, very insecure, an introvert, and I lacked a lot of confidence. And when Joni saw an interest in me, I think that's what opened me up a little bit and gave me that confidence, where I could start coming out of my shell. And so I was a late bloomer, and really didn't come out of my shell till it was probably my senior year, maybe junior year in high school. I had a very good life, but I dealt with a lot. I think I went into counseling, as a child too. My mom was concerned. I think she was concerned about depression issues and me being as insecure and shy as I was. But it was a rough childhood in a sense that socially I had a hard time with.
Yeah. Do you think anything played a part into the insecurity? Was it just your personality? Obviously, you talked about the glasses, which is funny because I remember, you lived in the era where the thick glasses, that was a terrible, you're always the four-eyed geek that
Always.
people make fun of. Now, glasses are kind of cool sometimes, but
Right.
but that was part of it. But Was there anything else that kind of played into your insecurity? Was it maybe because your parents weren't there, like maybe because you weren't athletic or something?
Yeah, I mean, I always played in sports. I always hung out with the cool kids, but I was a big time follower. So I was never. I replay that because my parents. I love my parents to death, but they, as Joni knows, they're super critical people. They're critical of and they mean it with the best intentions. Like they mean it because they truly want you to be better and succeed. But I think as me raising my son, who is identical to me, I've now seen that same, and at times like with sports, I'm super critical of him, and I've learned to like, okay, Shawn, like he doesn't learn this way. He actually probably shuts down with being this critical, and maybe I just need to love him more and just know that I'm there to support him. And so I'm learning with my son probably what I went through as a child that probably I think caused some of those issues.
Definitely. Thank you so much for checking out the Brett Snodgrass channel. If you like this video, please slam on that like button. And if you really like it, then subscribe to our channel here. And remember to leave us a comment below, and I'm going to try my hardest to reply to all the comments. Thank you guys so much. This is why I do what I do. Every single week, I come out with content that focuses on success, freedom, and living out your purpose. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.